As summer comes to an end, hunters across the nation are gearing up for another season. And like many, I've been counting down the days. This episode marks the beginning of Season 2 of the Pennsylvania Bowhunter Series. Follow along as I hunt multiple states in the Northeast, chasing white-tailed deer. With anticipation building, I found myself unable to wait for Pennsylvania's October opener. Instead, I opted to give myself an opportunity to get in the woods on September 1st in the state of Delaware. And after door knocking in August, I obtained my first permission property. This is going to be the tree. Get up. Pretty high up there. Oh shoot, maybe a couple spots right here. Right in here. This is a property I got permission at about 3 weeks ago. The property owner said he lets 2 other people hunt here, but it's an 8 or 9 acre piece of woods. Seems like we can all kind of fit in here, but there's a bit of a knob over here. We got an east wind blowing back down to the creek, and I don't want to be spooking the deer because that's where I would expect a buck to be bedding, is on that top, looking down with the wind coming off the top here, hitting them in the back. I didn't want to get too deep in here. I felt like I wouldn't be able to see as well from down in that creek bottom. I want to get an idea of what's here and what the deer are doing. So we still have about an hour and a half left in this hunt, so we'll see what it tells us. Well, I didn't get that on video, but I did take a doe. I think I might have got it on the GoPro, so maybe you guys can see from that angle, but unfortunately made a bad shot. I think that she might have ducked the arrow a bit there. She was on pretty high alert, and I always hit high, so of course I spined her. Left and right it looked pretty good, but spined her, so I got down super quick and I put another one in her. That's awesome. Got some deer meat for the freezer. Not how you want it to go, but that's a part of bow hunting. Well, y'all, here she is. Good sized doe. Not super big, but first shot was all the way up on the back here. Spine shot at her, which is not ideal, but at least she didn't run anywhere. And then I got down out of the tree and put one into her heart there to put her down. So super grateful for this deer. It's gonna feed me for the next couple weeks. Not a huge doe, but one of the only ones that I've seen without fawns. So that kind of thing is something I look for in a doe that I want to harvest. So she had a couple other does with her, and if she does have fawns, hopefully one of them will kind of start taking care of the rest of the fawns for her. So. This here is the hidden tenderloin, also known as the eye of the round. I placed them in my refrigerator on some drying racks for about 2 weeks, and now they've got a nice, beautiful crust on them, super hard. You can tell they're very dehydrated, much lighter weight. They probably lost maybe half of their initial weight. I'm going to show you guys how I cook this today. So I'm going to cut these into about 3/4 inch steaks, and I'm going to pan sear them in butter, because that's just how I know how to do it. Yeah, that looks pretty awesome. I'm curious to see just how tender it is. I can see there still is some moisture on the inside of these pieces of meat here. And I'm going to cook it with the skin on it. I'm sure some people would leave. I might just do one of them for now. Let's leave the one in the fridge. So I'm going to salt both sides here. Turn them over. Don't hold back on the salt. And now I'm going to let them rest for 30 or 40 minutes, let them get to room temperature, and then we're going to give them the old Pennsylvania sear. As it's been getting to room temperature, that salt has been drawing the moisture out of the meat. So we're going to dab that with a paper towel, and then we're going to resalt it and then sear it. Take a generous amount of butter. Give that the old Pennsylvania. Normally I maybe would throw some garlic in there, but I really want to get a vibe of what this meat tastes like, so let's see what we got. Alright, so this butter is almost browned. I'm going to set this guy in here. Going to hit start on the timer. Alright, gonna give these guys the Pennsylvania flip here. Look at that. Looks awesome. Ooh. Alright, these guys are done. Looking pretty good. Gonna let them rest for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes. They're kind of small. And I'm hitting them with a light bit more of salt right now. Alright, moment of truth here. Let's see what we're working with. That looks pretty good. Alright, let's give it a try. The outside, really chewy, but the inside, super tender. Delicious. So I think what I would do differently is I'd cut the crust off, because the crust is really tough, but the inside is super tender.
absolutely phenomenal, actually. It tastes just like a backstrap that that has been sitting either in the freezer for a while or a marinade. But here, I'm going to cut off the crust on this next bite. Look at that. So final remarks, super tender, super juicy, great flavor, it really absorbed the salt and the butter really nicely. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. This cut of meat is usually really, really tough, and this is super tender. This is great, so I highly recommend you try this with your next deer if you're a hunter or a butcher, and you go and get the eye of round out of the hindquarter. Throw it on a drying rack in the fridge for 2 weeks. I recommend you trim off the outside crust, but other than that, absolutely delicious.
Episode 2 will pick up in Pennsylvania, so if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, check out the merch, link in the description for that, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.